There we go. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cello Tip Thursday live stream where Chelly and I. Oh, hello, Bob. Hi. Bob's a dear friend. Nice to see you, Bob. Chelly and I are here to demonstrate some tips and tricks for you all as you practice cello, and another appearance for upcoming Cello Doll merch. I am so excited. I've been wanting to do merch for a long time, and I wore a different shirt last week. Thought I would keep stuff going with another shirt. This logo has a little more color in it, as you can see with the roses. Very exciting, and expect a big announcement coming, maybe even as soon as next week. It's finally coming together, and I can't wait to share more merch with you all, and we can wear our doll team colors t-shirts. So exciting. And yeah, so super excited to share that update with you all and show you what the shirts will look like. Okay, so let's get to some cello tips. I will keep an eye on the chat. We're both on Instagram and YouTube, so I'll try my best to keep an eye on both. Okay, bye, Bob. You're so sweet. Thank you. Thank you for coming on. Excellent. So, more than happy to talk about some things that I do when I teach, but I'm also wanting to prioritize what you all want to see and learn. This is a safe space to also share any practice room, angsty moments, things that haven't been going as well as you would like them to. And I would love to help address that here as well. We have a very safe space here in the doll community. Hello. Hi in the chat on YouTube. Hello. So yeah, would love to demonstrate anything you would like. Demonstrate things. Maybe improvise a little if y'all would like to see that. Any questions about the music industry, music on social media, remote recording, and cello tips. Whatever I can help you dolls out with. But I'll keep an eye on the chat. And one thing I wanted to talk about that I've been discussing a lot in lessons recently has been sustaining sound at the tip of the bow. Oh, wait a minute. We have a tip request. Never mind. I would much rather cater to what you dolls want to learn about. Thank you, Lori, on YouTube. Lori asks, I can use help reducing left hand tension. Same Z's. Tension is something that you will constantly be encountering as you grow and mature on cello. So this is regarding left hand tension, and there are a lot of things to look out for. I will tell you that the most common cause of tension in the left hand is a squeezing thumb. And if you are having tension in your thumb, you will feel pulling in this muscle and possibly in the middle of your hand. But a lot of it is usually here. I know because I had a squeezing thumb, and this is where a lot of my tension was. Lori, if you feel comfortable sharing any specific spots in your hand you feel tension, that will help me to give more catered tips for you. But I'll talk about the thumb first. So when the left hand gets busy, often the thumb will squeeze as a result. That can include a shift. That can include when you're starting to learn vibrato, or if you're playing a lot of fast notes, 8th notes, 16th notes, and your left hand is busy, it can kind of feels like it's cramping up, and that's usually because of the thumb. So one thing I tell my students, when you are shifting, lead from the thumb. Often if you are doing, oh, I see more requests, awesome. So if you're doing a shift, so I'm going 1 to 2. So a lot of people focus on the second finger. Okay, thank you, Lori. Excellent. Lori just gave me some more examples of where they're feeling tension. Thank you. So very quickly with the thumb, people want to think I'm going to 2, and I see a lot of, like the 2 is trying to jump back, and instead of doing that, I would pull back with your thumb. Your thumb should remain on the neck, but it is light to the touch, and it kind of drags your whole hand back. And if you notice, the back of my arm and my elbow is also pulling everything back and up. So if I lead it from the thumb, and I know I'm going to 2, so my second finger has to be ready and close to the string, but if I pull back with the thumb, that's going to lead all of the fingers. And if you are mentally in touch with your thumb to slide back and move, it's hard to have it squeeze. If you're tight and you're just trying to pull back the second finger, you might feel this kind of skidding, this tight skidding going back, and that can be because your thumb is pressed into the cello neck and reluctant to move. So I would recommend just doing glissandos up and down to really get in touch with thumb as the leader, make the shift bigger. And then when you do scales and the shifting is smaller and you have a bigger destination in mind, think about leading with the thumb first and your other fingers follow suit, rather than we're always so concentrated on, okay, I'm going to this finger and I'm going to 1 in 4th position. Again, if you're shifting up, the thumb can pull your hand up, and likewise my arm is opening up at the elbow hinge to have my hand push higher. So it's a couple things with shifting. Lori said the tension comes from holding position. An extended position is killer. Okay, so an extended position is a way to get more notes than traditional first position. So when you start cello, typically you will learn first position first. So kind of staying in this spot. However, I'm currently on a G. If I want to do a G sharp, I have to bump up my 4th finger, and we call that an extension. Likewise, when you're on the D string, my first finger's on E, and we want to reach back for E flat. So basically, it helps you to incorporate sharps and flats that are barely outside closed first position. And we call that open first position or extended. And you will do extensions all around the cello, so you also do it outside of first position. So if you're just starting cello and you don't know extensions yet, this is a great sneak peek. So what I would advise, Lori, when you're stationary and you think your thumb is squeezing, I do a sliding, micro slides with my thumb with my students. So what I would have you do is hold a note. I'll do G again. And you might hear the note waver a little bit. That's okay. And your goal is to do these micro slides where your thumb is on the neck and you're just kind of brushing it up and down. So that will help your thumb to remain supple and loose when you're in a stationary position. And then do that with an open 4. So or a low 1. You can really see it well here in the camera with a low 1. And now loosen up your thumb a little bit. And I would stop. Let's say you're going to walk up and down and extended. Stop, wiggle. Stop and wiggle. So you have these wiggle spots to see if you can release your thumb and wiggle it. If you can't, very likely you've caught your thumb gripping and squeezing. The other thing I will tell you with extensions, make sure your thumb is always with second finger. It's very common to forget that, especially when we open up high this way. So for an extension with a high 4, all of your fingers are in half steps and closed first position. When you extend, you get a whole step space between 1 and 2. And your thumb has to follow 2. So if I open up, but I leave my thumb behind, I immediately feel pulling right here down my thumb. So that is a possibility. It's a big possibility that maybe your thumb isn't moving up when you open up with a high 4. So I'm going to turn to the side really quick because I think it's a little more obvious to see from the side rather than vertically. Oh, thank you for all the hearts in the chat. Wow, look at all those fun hearts. It's so sad. I wish on YouTube they could do animated hearts. That would be so fun as well. So thank you, that's very sweet. Wow, lots of emojis, I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna turn from the side really quick. Now someday, I need to figure out a multi-camera situation where I can just push a button or something and it would flip the camera angle. That would be pretty cool, huh? Okay, so as you can see, when I'm closed, my thumb is with 2. When you open up into extended first, my thumb is still with 2. So when I open up to slide into extended, your thumb's got to come with you. Make sure that happens. Slide up, have your thumb come with second finger. Again, if I slide up and I keep the thumb, you see how my thumb is kind of stuck between the spacing? If you open up and the thumb is left behind, it's very uncomfortable for my hand. So make sure your thumb also slides up when you do an open extended with a high 4 like that. The thumb must follow 2. Regardless of what kind of first position you're in, thumb will follow 2. Awesome. So I love it. I'm seeing more questions in the chat. Awesome. Great. So I'm going to rotate. So I'm facing forward again. I hope that helps, Lori. Thank you so much for sharing your observations with the left hand tension. Again, a big important place to be aware of is your thumb, if your thumb's squeezing or not. Oh, Sophia says, love the cello. I do too. If I didn't, this would be a very awkward career I have, right? I'm glad you love the cello. That makes me really happy. Okay, so we're going to come back facing forward. Forward, forward, forward. Woo. Okay, cool. Okay, so we have a request from Juan to see some Col Legno. Love Col Legno. I was doing a mini video series on auxiliary modern music tips. I kind of want to bring that back, maybe do a couple more. They're so fun, and you get really unique sounds out of the cello. So a quick review on Col Legno is when you're playing with the wood of the bow. So what you see 98% of the time is we're playing with the hair of the bow. You know, we're using the horsehair or vegan. You know, I've done some vegan haired bows. But Col Legno is when you use the wood, and it's usually done with a bouncing bow for shorter notes. You notice it's a lot more percussive on the lower strings. And that's kind of what this effect is. It gives kind of a pitched percussive effect on a string instrument. You could do longer bows. That's more unique. I haven't really done that too much. It's usually more bouncing, and it's a cool effect. It's really cool to do with chords, and another effect called ricochet, where you do bounced at the tip. Spot is to do it on the lower strings as a double stop. I know I said chords. I should have said double stop, because it's not impossible to do a chord. But it's a little harder to evenly do 3 strings like that. But it's really fun. That's Col Legno. Really enjoy it. I know Juan likes it because it's a little rock and roll on those lower strings, and Juan's a big cello rockin' fan, electric string rockin' fan. So good call with that demo. It's really fun. I love Col Legno. Should put some in a original piece soon. Maybe play around with that, get some cool things happening. The other thing is, make sure you're not using a really nice bow that's a couple $1,000, maybe even more. Bows get really expensive, extremely expensive. So if you're a modern music enthusiast like myself, you often have spare bows that you can kind of whack around a little bit, and it's not too alarming. So if you want to experiment with that technique on your own, don't do it with your best bow. I mean, sometimes I've used a good bow in a concert and I have to do it very briefly. fine. If you do it for, I don't know, a musical phrase, it's not a big deal. But if you really want to go, wild with some Col Legno, if you really want to go at it, have a cheap bow. Like this one. This is a cheapo, cheapo bow. Awesome. So let us see. Where was I saw a question on? Oh, can you give a tip on how to practice fast staccato notes? Yes. So it seems weird advice, and I was skeptical of it at first. So I'm telling you, as when I was young and foolish and skeptical, that it works. I promise it works. Start playing legato before you try fast and staccato, because if you're trying to look at the notes and the rhythm and you're trying to be short, you end up playing usually pretty tense. And if you play, you don't have to go crazy long and goopy. You can make them short and legato. It will allow you to play with a relaxed and heavy bow arm, and that will make the staccato happen more naturally if you can get in touch with that feeling. So let's see. So I'm just making up something. That you're deep in the string, not that you're coming out. That's not quite what you're looking for in this exercise. It should sound very connected with a heavy arm, very linear bows, flat, think flat bows. Then do doubles faster. Faster doubles is the second step. So you heard at the end there, I need to be heavier. There it is. And I'm trying to make my bow smaller and smaller. So do doubles with a very tiny, deep in the string bow. And it's going to sound staccato. Staccato means short. It doesn't always mean you have to bounce your bow and come out of the string. It's a very common misconception. A lot of people see staccatos and they try to bounce and they wonder why their sound is thin or they feel like they don't have control over their bow. It's better. It's better to have a sound like that. Better to have one where you're deeper in the string, and if you were to look really closely, my stick is bouncing, but I'm not coming out. You could do that, but it depends a lot on your tempo. If your tempo's pretty fast and you're expected to play fast, then you're not gonna have enough time to bounce things all evenly and to keep your tempo. So let's go back to the doubles. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. And you want to hear each note cleanly. I need to support more. Now when you're doing singles, play part of the passage. See if you hear anything mushy. Don't just drill the whole thing over and over. I did a post about this called a burst exercise that a teacher taught me, where you play in small clusters, and that way you can really listen intently and see if it's clean. If you just play like 8 or 12 notes, how do you know how note number 5 went or note number 7? It's just a lot to keep track of. So do them in smaller bits and then build them up after you do the doubles. So now we're going to single bursts. See, that's a tricky one because of the string crossing. There it is. There. Now if I want to bounce, so I'm still thinking pretty horizontal in the string, even though now I want to add a bounce. Again, bouncing is optional with staccato. Yes. Again, my brain is going a million miles a minute and I don't want to get too ahead of myself. If you see a marking that says spiccato, S-P-I, spiccato, that means your stick is bouncing, but your hair is in the string, which is what I was doing earlier. So that's a spiccato, and that's specifically in the string. Again, if we're going to do a bounce, though, if you want to come out of the string, don't come up high. It sounds messy, fuzzy. Each note does not have a clear beginning because you don't have a lot of time to come out, sync, play, come out, sync, and play. It's just not enough time. You hear that's much more crisper. Don't be afraid to break things into smaller chunks. Break things up and really listen to the clarity and sound quality of each note, especially how the note begins. You want it to be clear and articulate if it is a staccato marking. So I hope that helps. Again, slow and legato, so you can be used to being heavy and in the string with a relaxed bow arm. Play in the string, do doubles, kind of a medium tempo, then a faster tempo. As you increase speed, shrink the bow length. And then, lastly, try it faster. Singles, you might need to do medium, fast, fast. Really listen and do it in small chunks. Awesome. Ooh. Okay. We got a very specific question here. I love it. I don't know where my part is. Let me see. Concern, any tips on practicing the octaves with trills for the Dvorak Concerto Movement 1, Rehearsal 15, measures 326 and 327. My sound keeps stopping from bow arm trill tension. I love it. Very specific. I don't know where my part is. Hold on. If not, IMSLP will help us, as it always does. Let me see. I actually might have it scanned here on my tablet. But it's a very good question. I think I know what part you're talking about. I have not played this piece in a handful of years. No, that's not it. So, bear with me, but I promise I will help you. It might not be perfect, and that's okay. Alrighty. We're going to go to I am. So for those of you, actually, this is an excellent time to tell you about IMSLP. If you don't know IMSLP, hold up. Let's talk about IMSLP. It's an amazing resource. Every aspiring musician should know about it, especially if you want to know about classical pieces. So IMSLP is the International Music Score Library Project. And if a piece is in the public domain, usually has to be written, I'd say at this point, we're in 2023, probably before the 1940s or 1930s. Any piece before 1930, you should be able to find on this database for free. And sometimes they have scanned manuscripts. Sometimes they have, so an original manuscript is actually in the composer's handwriting, which is pretty cool. They'll have manuscripts, they'll have different editions, so you can look at different fingering options, different bowing options, stuff like that. I don't want my, sorry, I'm very picky about presentation, if you had no idea, and I don't want my stand to show on YouTube. All right. What? There's an app? Oh, I didn't know that. There's an app. Okay, I'm going to download the app on this for future streams. This is great. Well, now they have an app. Now you know. All right. Cello part. Let's go. Cool. Sweet. Glad you're working on Dvorak. That is a great piece. It's a classic. I've performed it in a recital. I think the video is on my YouTube channel. But that was celloed all from like 2018, 2019. But it was a performance I was pretty happy with. All right, here we go. Here we go. IMSLP time. I promise for my next stream, I'm going to find all of my major scores and have them so you dolls don't have to wait. Yeah, I promise. Promise I'll look at them. Okay. So, let me review your question again. Oh. Oh no. I had a perfect angle. Okay, there we go. The octaves, rehearsal 15, 326, 327. All right. I didn't check to see if this has measure numbers. You know what? I will see it and I will know what you're talking about. Sweet. Cool beans, let's go. Here we are. $15. Okay. So I know the part you're talking about. So rehearsal 15 is when the main theme comes back an octave higher. And then you have this part where you have to play octaves. Da-ya, ba-ya, ba-ya, ba-ya. Except it's much faster than that. But what I would tell you to do first is to practice long, gooey quarter notes in double stops. So, and be really picky when you're not hearing it's right in tune on the money. Adjust. I'm doing slurred pairs. Then I would do separate. I think long, and you notice I talk a lot about long and gooey bows, and it's really important for sound production, projecting, and having a relaxed bow and bow arm, heavy bow arm. So long and gooey in the string. And those half steps at the top will get you. And notice I'm going down and up. I'm playing it in reverse, playing it in all sorts of ways. So that's the first round, and then you always give your hand a little light, gentle shake out. And also make sure you're supporting with the elbow. If you're pulling down, you're cutting off your weight into the fingers. It's going to make your hand feel very unsupported, and you'll have to press. This way, when you support with your elbow, you're leaning, you're helping your fingers to lean into the string, and then you won't feel that need to press because you're pivoting your weight into the string a little bit. So long double stops, because for those of you who don't know this part, it sounds like this. It's like da-ya, ba-ya, 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 but my left hand doesn't change. My left hand doesn't change. It's the same, my left hand is doing the same thing as the double stop exercise. That's why it's a good exercise. Because you just need to think of them as a unit. You don't have enough time to go B, B, C sharp, C. You just have to have it blocked and automatic as you slide up. I really hope this is the part you're referring to, because I'm going off of this parts rehearsal 15, and I'm pretty sure you said octaves, and these are some of the most famous octave parts. So I hope this is right. So again, if you're having tension with the bow, it's a tricky part. And if we get apprehensive, we lighten up. You gotta lean in and really honk it out. Honk it! Really don't be afraid of it, because that's gonna help you to settle into the string and to feel more comfortable on your cello, rather than, am I gonna get it? Is it gonna be right? And you're kind of lifting out. And when you lift out, you don't get a big sound. Okay? To connect it, give myself a couple tries before moving on. Oh, the scale coming down. Okay. Oh, interesting. Your edition has trills on top. Interesting. My part does not have them marked as trills. They're eighth notes. Eighth notes on top, and then neighboring tones, 16th triplets, which is kind of like a trill. It's really fun. Okay, I mean, honestly, the exercise doesn't really change. I would still tell you to play octave double stops on the way down, so... And then, excuse me, then I would add the upper neighbor. So if you look at the lower part, for those of you who are just joining us, this is a very virtuosic moment from the Dvorak Concerto. And we're working on some octaves on the last page of movement 1. Oh, excuse me, oh no, excuse me. Is that right? Yes. If there's something that's not quite in tune, you're not happy with. And if you notice, I'm using a long, heavy, goopy bow. You want to sustain that passage and not get apprehensive when the moment comes to play that passage. And if you're out of the string here, you're going to start feeling floaty in your hands. And that's not what you want. You want to be down, deep in the strings to support you. Granted, you have to be light when you come down. So that comes to the second part, which is to do little air jumps with your wrist. I don't come off the string. I do, my wrist comes up, scoot, up, scoot, up, scoot, up, scoot. So to really exaggerate it, it's kind of like this, but it's on a much smaller level. It's kind of, so. Actually really difficult. So I'm leaning back from my wrist. Next, add the second note in the bottom voice as a double stop. So for example, let's start on the B. To make sure I get it right. And again, is it a whole step between thumb and 1 or a half step between thumb and 1? You really got to memorize if it's a whole step or a half step, because you can just, it can just sound like a bunch of microtones and you can get lost. So knowing if it's a whole step or a half step on the bottom. And again, the final thing, well, it's not final, there's a lot of stuff you can do, but a very necessary exercise, I think, is to just play the bottom part, but have your finger on the top voice, so you're still replicating the hand shape. That's a really tight one. You really gotta curl your pointer finger super tight to get that F sharp at the end. So really getting track. Oh, I see. Your part's a little different. Let's see. And that's okay. You know, there are different editions. The Dvorak Cello Concerto was edited a lot. So it's kind of strayed a little bit from the original, what you hear in concerts. So maybe you have an original copy. Hello, I'm seeing you all in the chat. I saw a shout out from, I think, Tokyo. There's one from Argentina. So nice to see you all joining us from around the world, learning more about cello. That's so exciting. I do want to take a peek at YouTube really quick. The first group is B, C sharp, B. Okay, so it sounds like you're doing I have to do 2 quavers and 2 triplets semiquavers per bow. Okay, so you're doing the version, so there's 2 ways to play it. You're doing the other version. Something like that, it sounds like. If you have something like that, I would just play the first group, or the first note of each triplet. Just play the first group with the same fingers. I'm not quite sure. I do the other version, so I don't have... Okay. Okay, I have a link. I'm gonna save your question for the end because I can't open links, otherwise it will disrupt the stream. I can't open links on my phone. Again, if it's this part I'm thinking of, rehearsal 15, it could be a different rehearsal 15. I'll try to find the part you're talking about. I don't want to take too much time though, because other people had questions. I mean, I gave you lots of tools. Anyone can use them for any octave-based passages. There's a lot of fun, different stuff. Let's see. Oh, Sorek. It also depends on if you're in a different country. I might not be able to find that edition because of IMSLP sometimes has different things available in different countries. I did see a quick question about, let me see. Do you have any experience playing double bass on as a cellist? Is cello a good link to double bass? I have not played double bass, and there are some parallels, but it's kind of tricky because they're only semi-parallels. For double bass, you do need a very heavy bow arm, especially heavy because the strings are so thick. So having that heavy bow arm technique and really learning to have a low elbow is really going to serve you on double bass, because even though you stand up to play the double bass, it's still a horizontal motion with the bow. You're still bowing horizontally. Violin and viola, it's vertical. They bow vertically. So at least you're going to keep that horizontal angle, the heavy bow arm. A lot of the fingering patterns are similar, but the thing is, your bass has different open strings than a cello. Because the bass is so large, it's tuned in fourths. So you have an E string, E, F, G, A. You have an E string, an A string, a D string, and a G string. So it's a little different. The strings aren't the same, but a lot of the finger patterns are similar. There are some parallels, but again, bass is pretty unique. If you're thinking about switching to double bass, it's not going to hurt that you played the cello. And what's really cool is if you play in an orchestra, cellos and basses often have the same part in octaves. So if you're used to that cello sound, it's really going to help you as a double bassist in orchestra. So that's a good question. Yeah, cool. I'm sorry about that, Dvorak. I'm trying to find the addition on yours, and it doesn't seem to be here. Sorry, my friend. I don't seem to find your addition. And I promise I've looked. And I can't, I know you sent me the link on my phone. I can't because it's going to end my live stream. I'm sorry. But I really hope, again, anything in octaves, you can practice with a double stop. I'm curious about this one. But do we have any more questions? Checking on the chat. Checking on the chat. Cool. Cool. Okay. Going in. Let me see if this is a promising thing I just found. Let me try one more thing. I have one more idea. And then we're almost out of time. Oh no. Oh no. Da 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 da. No, I'm sorry, my friend. It's not looking promising. I'm sorry. I'm in the area you're talking about, so I really hope what I said gives you some ideas for practicing. Cool. So, any more questions? Oh, this is a good question. Ooh. This is a music industry question. Okay. Thank you for the instructions, my friend. Okay. I'm going to follow your instructions, my friend. Let us see. Thank you for that. Doop-a-doop-boop-boo. Bartos. Part. All right. I'm on it. I got you. And then I'm going to answer my friend here who had a question about gigs. And then I will hopefully find the thing you told me. Aha! Here it is. All right, I'm on it. And as this is, here we go. Okay, as this is, here we go. Okay, so as this is downloading, I'm gonna answer your question on YouTube about gigs. Curious, in your area, are there works and gigs for cellists in 2023? Sure, yeah. Otherwise, I couldn't live here if there wasn't work. So what I will tell you, so my area, for those of you who might not know, is I live in Las Vegas currently. So I'm on the west coast of the United States. I got your part, my friend. Ah. Okay. Cool. Okay, I see what you're talking about. But I'm first going to talk about gigs. So I'm in Las Vegas, and the types of gigs, I do a lot of corporate work. So I'm on the roster for a couple of electric string ensembles here in Vegas. I'm also on the roster for the Pop Strings Pop Symphonic Orchestra, which is amazing. We had a big concert 2 weekends ago, and that's led by David Perico. If you are not familiar with them and you're in the area, check them out. The shows have been awesome. And that's a musician-run ensemble. But for corporate work, because I'm in these ensembles, if they get booked and they need a cellist, they'll call me, and if I'm available, I come and play the ensemble music. So that's a big thing around here, because in Las Vegas there are a lot of conventions, a lot of companies have parties out here, business events out here in Las Vegas, and that's a very common thing in the US. Las Vegas is a big convention hub, and I'm also not that far from LA, which has a lot of recordings in it, a lot of things in the recording industry. And that's kind of one of my goals for myself in the next couple years, is to possibly do a couple things in LA, making some connections, and hopefully I can be a West Coast cellist that goes to a couple different places. But what was helpful for me, and what I would recommend for any musician, is have friends. Have friends in the area you're moving to. Have people that can recommend you for work. Have your in. Have friends and colleagues, because to go into a city where you don't know anybody is extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult. And I'll tell you why. Because let's say you are a contractor looking for strings to play at a celebrity residency, and you have a cellist who is so reliable, they play great, they sound great, they have awesome stage presence, and they've worked with you for many years. They have no reason to hire me. Even though I would do those things, I would work very hard, I would learn the part, I would have great stage presence. If they already have somebody that is super reliable, they're not going to look for anybody else. It's sad, but it's a reality. But if you have a friend who says, hey, Cello doll can play a mean cello, and I've heard her play, you should add her to your roster. That's your link. That's your in. So that's important. It also really helped me to have my videos. So if somebody was interested in hearing my playing, I could send them. I have so many videos now, and that's actually really helped me a lot, because it's a lot more powerful to show someone a video than to say, I play well. I promise. Like, show them with a video. Show them how you play and how you sound. So to answer your question, yes, I do have work here. I'm very lucky. I feel very lucky. I don't know, I might have talked more than what you wanted to know, but I think these are very important things people don't talk about a lot. Of course, first and foremost, you have to be an amazing player. You have to work hard, you have to sound great, you have to be very consistent. It's a lot of pressure sometimes, but it comes with the job. You have to be very consistent, on point, and fun to work with. If you're a negative Nancy who complains all the time, people aren't going to want to work with you. That's the reality of it. And you have to be professional. If you're late, if you don't come prepared, if you show up and you don't have a good preparation, like clean clothes, crisp appearance. You don't have to have crazy makeup or anything. You just have to look professional, like you're going to a job. These are all things that are very important, and I don't think people talk about it a lot. People are starting to, but a lot of it is, you gotta play great. No, that's one huge piece of the pie, but that's not it. That's not all there is to it, you know? All right, I promised I would come back to you, my friend, on Instagram. I have your part. And it's a lot of what I was talking about earlier, except your part is flipped, where the moving notes are on top, not the bottom. I would still do those double stops. I'm gonna play them again, and then we'll talk a little bit about more specifics. So I hope that encourages any of you who are coming into the professional world of music. Really hope that encourages you to know that you have to be a great answer to someone's musical need. And you have to be consistent. Don't have to be the flashiest head honcho to get work, right? There's a lot more to it. So I hope that helps. All right. Oh, I see. So since your moving note is on top, you're probably gonna have to do your octaves with 2. Shake out your hand. Don't drill these minutes upon minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a time. Couple minutes, take a break. While you're taking that thumb break, you can do while you're taking a thumb break, practice the top voice. You can have the thumb lightly, I'm just resting on the string like I'm playing a harmonic. I'm not weighted in. I just have my thumb light on the string. So I'm just making the first note of each triplet like an 8th note. So I'm just playing the first note of each group. Okay, so that can be an exercise, the thumb can be an exercise, and then make sure you come back to a clean octave. Again, it sounds like a lot of steps, but it is a very difficult passage. And again, I haven't played this piece in a long time, so this is a refresher for me as well, okay? But I'm just telling you how I would go about getting familiar with it again. So it's helpful for us both, right? Start putting them together, put your ear on the lower voice for the intonation. That's your foundation for the top. It's really important to have the bottom voice in tune, even though you might be focused on the busyness of the top voice. You really need that lower voice as the anchor. And then I would do da 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 da, ba da 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 da. So I'm pausing every 6, and you start building the chain. So it's an A sharp, cello doll. So I would just do them grouped as slurs. Again, I'm really jumping ahead. I would need more practice before doing that 3rd step, but I just kind of want to show you the progression very quickly. You shouldn't move on until it's consistently in tune. Again, sake of time, I'm kind of going through these quickly. So I'm doing each group, and then you would make it. You would do from 1 bow, you would do 2 bows, then 2 bows, then 2 bows. So you make the chain bigger and bigger. So I hope that helps. Again, a lot of the tips I gave you, you just kind of flip, because in your edition, the moving voice is on top. On mine, it's the bottom. So again, there's a couple different ways to play this. Couple cellists have done different things, and when they get their chance to have their edition, they put in their version. So the Dvorak Concerto is interesting. There's a lot of choose your own adventure things that people pick. I hope that helps now that I found your exact edition. Thank you. Thank you for helping me find that. And you all are most welcome. It's always so great to hear your questions, to see what you're interested in learning about, what pieces you're working on, what technical questions you have. I always enjoy it. Every month is so different. And thank you for taking time to be with Chelly and I. Super awesome. It also makes me feel like we have a nice community and we get to know each other here better, which is very important to me. And, you know, because we live in a time where we have the internet, we're able to come together and connect, which is awesome. So thank you all so much. Again, cello doll merch. Get excited. Get pumped. I've been working on it so much this week. Coming up with different colors, different combinations, and figuring out, I want this to be merch that, you know, looks cool, looks different. I didn't want to just have cello doll in letters. You get a cool scroll, some thorns for that kind of gothic edge, and the roses, and again, the cello scroll. So it's a lot of symbolism, and I wanted it to be something that is fun to wear and unique for an artist symbol. So hope you like it. It'll be coming out very soon. So expect a big update on that. And happy practicing! I'll see you later, my dolls. Bye-bye.